First, we'll begin with the oil and gas sector. For days now, a major key player in Nigeria's oil and gas industry, Aliko Dangote, has become vocal, publicly speaking out on his displeasure with dealings in the sector. His recent outburst has put him at loggerheads with the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority, that's the NMDPRA. The federal government, in a bid to resolve the ongoing dispute between the Dangote refinery and the NMDPRA over the quality of diesel distributed in the country, convened a high-level meeting on Monday with key stakeholders. The meeting focused on finding a sustainable and lasting solution to the current impasse affecting the Dangote refinery, with all parties demonstrating a commitment to collaborative and proactive problem solving. Well, joining us via Zoom for this conversation is Team Lead Platforms Africa, Adeola Yusuf. Adeola, good morning. Thank you for joining us on The Breakfast Show. Can you hear me?
Hello.
Yes.
Good morning. Good morning.
Yes.
Good morning. My pleasure to be on the program.
Great, great. You have been following developments between Aliko Dangote, the NMDPRA, the NNPCL, the intrigues here and there. But talk to us from an expert's point of view, someone who have been following developments in the oil and gas sector, the implication of this crisis and what truly is going on.
Okay, thank you so much. First of all, let me quickly raise a caveat, and that will have to do with the oil industry. It's one industry that is, seriously misunderstood or, not understood by a lot of people. And a lot of people have been saying that may be a deliberate, decision by those in power. At least when you do not understand something, it becomes easier for, people to do their abracadabra. Now, I will use that opportunity to appreciate, TVC for this effort, because it's an effort to ensure that at least Nigerians understand a bit of what is happening. And this, rift between Dangote refineries and NMDPRA has shown again that, the sector is seriously misunderstood, or, a sector that, Nigerians do not understand. And that has brought to the fore a lot of, claims and counterclaims, allegation, counter-allegation between the Dangote refinery and the NMDPRA. It's important for everyone to understand that a fact has to be established. We do not have this back and forth until Dangote refinery started producing diesel. And it is a facility, that has $20 billion investment. Up to this sample moment we are talking, Dangote refinery is one of the, the biggest when it comes to investment in the oil sector. In fact, we've been told that it's the biggest singular unit refinery in the world with 650,000 barrels capacity. So there is a Nigerian that's behind this project. And that project is situated in Nigeria, even though we've heard that based on the fact that it's situated on the trade freight zone, it may not be technically on the Nigerian soil, but everyone knows that, Lagos State, where Dangote refinery is situated, where the trade freight zone is situated, is in Nigeria. So those two things, are important points for us to note. Now, after the Dangote refinery started production, Alhaji Aliko Dangote came up with an allegation that there is, Nigerian market has been flooded with substandard diesel. And he alleged that, the diesel were imported by some people, licensed by the Nigerian midstream regulator, which is the NMDPRA. Now, after that allegation, it took NMDPRA some weeks. Then NMDPRA, when it's coming through, is chief executive Farouk Ahmed, alleged again, that was a counter allegation, that Dangote refinery has not been completed. It's 45% at the completion stage. It is producing diesel that is below standard And in fact, the refinery, okay, like I said, the refinery has not been licensed by the regulator. So then after that, Dangote, came up with an allegation, another allegation and counter allegation. The latest on that allegation is that some officials of NNPC are owning and running a blending plant in Malta, which the CEO of NNPC, Mele Kyari, has, again debunked. So there's been that allegation and counter allegation. But it's important to note that the meeting called by the minister is very, very good because, whether Dangote is making its allegation, whether NMDPRA is making its counter allegation, Nigeria as a country is suffering a lot at the international community when it comes to reputation and image. So it is very, very good that the minister has intervened. And I know the minister is not intervening alone without a proper instruction and, clearance and from the president. So it's a good thing that, we are seeing effort to make sure that that is quickly nipped in the bud.
All right, so in all of these things, like you mentioned earlier, the issue with the NMDPRA and Dangote and the statements flying all around, what do you think might be the bone of contention if you notice that the NMDPRA boss spoke to Monopoly stating that it's not healthy for the system? So what do you think might be the bone of contention here?
Okay, thank you very much. I will do it in three stratifications, and I will intertwine it with the opinion and perspectives Nigerians, have been having on this since this, TOSU, quote unquote, started. There has been a lot of perspectives. Three of them under three categories. Number one, we have some people now, that have this, my candidate or my person can never do any wrong perspective. If they are on the side of Dangote, they believe Dangote cannot do any wrong. So anything coming from Dangote is correct. So any counter allegation from any NDPRA is not correct. And there are other people on the other side. If they belong to NMDPRA, they believe that every counter allegation from NMDPRA is correct. Then an allegation from Dangote is not correct. Those are the first set. The second set of people are those, that are making money from this TOSU since they started. I can tell you authoritatively that some people are already making money from this. You understand? And maybe through their businesses, maybe through other ventures, they have been making money, and they will not want this TOSU or this rift to end, because a damage to a reputation of Dangote refinery to them may promote their own business, or a damage to NMDPRA will promote them being, person that the president is likely to, throw up as the replacement for whoever that they will remove at the end of the day. So those are the second set of people. And they don't finish at that. A lot of businesses, some businesses are, booming because of this. And the owners of those businesses will not want this rift to end. That is the second one. Then the third one are those that are seeing this, rift as a business fight, as a business survival rift. Of course, a Dangote refinery that is $20 billion investment, you will not want anything, to be a hurdle for his business, for smooth running of this business. And NMDPRA will not want, an allegation of that magnitude to come up, against it. Of course, whether we like it or not, business interest is involved in this rift. So those, are the stratifications to this. And I wonder most times when Nigerians argue over this rift and, people are belonging to different factions, whether this, whether that. Fact of this matter is that anywhere this rift goes, Nigerians, if proper care is not taken, will be the losers at the end of the day. Whether you belong to this, whether you belong to that, once profit margin, decision is making, agreement is making among all these men. And in fact, by the time they want to finish this fight, by the time they want to settle this fight, Nigerians that are fighting on the streets, that will eventually queue up for fuel, that will eventually buy fuel at higher rates as a result of this or as a result of lack of this, will not be called to that meeting. So it is important that at every point in this rift or whatsoever, Nigerians should be awake to understand that, whosoever, is on the side of Nigeria, whosoever that his or her effort is, going to make Nigerian, fuel supply, easy for Nigerians should be the ones that Nigerians should tilt towards. I'll tell you another thing that made me to have that perspective, please. Sorry. You will note, maybe you still ask me in the course of the question, that the House of Representatives, in trying to intervene in this, aside from visiting the Dangote refinery, and witnessing, a laboratory test for diesel from Dangote refinery and some other, imported, facilities, I've come up to say that they are investigating the allegation of diesel, substandard diesel in Nigeria.
Absolutely.
I want to plead members of that House of Representatives to make sure that, hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, so I want to, appeal to them with all sincerity. They have been saying it times with that number that they are on the side of Nigeria. And in fact, they are elected there to represent Nigeria. They shouldn't forget that Nigerians are waiting and watching, to make sure that, they get to the root of this matter when it comes to diesel oil. Whether we like it or not, there is allegation already from all the parties that there is substandard diesel in circulation. Dangote said it against, importers and the NMDPRA. NMDPRA said it against Dangote. So it behoves on the House of Representatives, members of Representatives that are probing this diesel fuel. Because at the end of the day, it's going to be Nigerians that will buy this diesel into their cars, into their engines, and it is going to be Nigerians that will pay this price. So it's important.
Very important that matter is addressed. Because of our time, Adeola, can you hear me? Because of our time, there are so many aspects to this that we need to address, and it's important we address that. There's been accusations of he not meeting up the sulfurization, the quality that is needed as it is. There's also accusation of the fact that his refinery is not fully working as it is. That is just a part of it that is working as it is. There's so many dimensions to this whole matter. Do you think, with the intrigues and complexities involved, there's also the international dimension to it that Aliko Dangote also mentioned, the IOCs, and Nigeria's commitment to the IOC. Now, there's the aspect of also people saying that there's the matter of monopoly, that he wants to take over things. I want you to speak to all of these issues, the complexities. If at the end of the day, this will be able to get to the root of the matter now that we are investigating.
Okay, thank you so much. Those are the points I was trying to make, and it's a good thing that you have just asked. Now, if this issue continue, at the end of everything, Nigeria as a country, will lose more, and Nigerians as people will lose more. Of course, now, just like you have said, there is that urge for Dangote to, try to defend his company and his reputation. There is that urge from people from the government to defend their, image and reputation. But at the end of the day, it is going to be Nigeria as a country that will suffer more. At this point, the president has been observing, and I know that he has been the one that has, detailed the minister to intervene. That intervention should be taken as seriously as possible so that we stop all this. Fact of this matter is that, remember that in February 2022, it was not even an allegation of dirty diesel. There was that dirty diesel. Engines were, knocking down on Nigerians' roads in 2022. There was a pro panel for that. What is the outcome of that pro panel? That is what I've been driving at. In fact, the counter allegation and allegations, they still remain at the level of allegation in as much as it has not been, concretized by verifiable evidence. What of the 2022 incidents in which cars, where we have friends, relatives whose cars were knocked down, and car engines were knocked down? We have facilities at companies that were on diesel that were knocked down. You understand? As a result of that, we had concrete evidence that time. In as much as this one is still within the realms of allegation and counter-allegation. While I heard those in government, and that was the point I was making earlier, the House of Representatives that is representing Nigerians, why I heard them to continue with this probe that they are doing, they shouldn't forget. And there should be that advocacy from Nigerians that the 2022 probe where is the report? Where is the
Adeola, you haven't spoken to the issue that I raised, the international dimension to this matter, Nigeria's commitment to the IOC and how this is coming into the mix. Yes, we know that the government has to remember that the interests of Nigerians should be upheld, but how about the IOCs, our commitment to the IOCs, how this also is a major concern as well?
Thank you very much. Now, I was going there, and
because of time,
I said that it was okay. I said it was still an allegation from Dangote, but let me now make a clarification to that based on what I understand. I was there when that allegation was made, and when you in the oil industry, if you say IOC, you understand it can mean 2 or 3, stratification of. The IOC that is very popular, the international companies that are players in the upstream sector, the Shell, the Chevron, the ExxonMobil, and so on and so forth. They are called IOC. In fact, if you Google IOC, those are the people you are even likely to see. And those ones, on occasions, we have even read how those ones are even selling assets in Nigeria. All of them, except ExxonMobil, that is still, within the Nigerian shallow waters and, in shallow waters and onshore, all of them, they have sold their assets. They are on the onshore now, you understand? Some of them, Total Energies, instead of investing in Nigeria, took its investment to Angola, you understand? So, accusing, if the allegation is against those ones, I'm not sure that will be correct, because the oil industry, if you want to, the allocation for crude oil in the oil industry, if you need crude oil, you do the allocation, you do the signing in things ahead. Like, for instance, if you need crude oil in 2026, for instance, this is the year that you sign it. You can sign a contract to deliver crude oil this year, crude oil I'm talking about, this year, and get crude oil this year. Those things are done ahead. If the IOC, the second stage of the IOC are the international trading companies, the Trans-Figura and all that. Those one play, the roles that those one play is to just when because Nigerians do crude oil swap now. So they may, if they compete in the bidding and they win, they may help and take crude oil that Nigeria is swapping to the their refineries abroad and take that back to Nigeria. They may intervene in that fix. But I do not understand how those funds can be. Then the third IOC is, because of the time, the NNPC can as well be in that mix of the IOC, because everyone has been talking about the Nigerian commitment. And if you talk of Nigerian commitment to crude oil delivery, it is NNPC we are talking about. Now, let's talk about the NNPC. What NNPC has, if a barrel of crude oil is produced in Nigeria now, about 51% of that belongs to the NNPC and belongs to Nigeria, managed by NNPC. Now, the NNPC has a lot of commitments, as I am aware of as a journalist. Let me cite one of those commitments. One of the commitments is the 1 billion, the Port Harcourt refinery, maintenance that is ongoing now, is got $1.5 billion. $1 billion of that commitment was got as a loan from Afreximbank. NNPC cannot pay money with money. NNPC can only pay with crude oil. So anytime NNPC is assessing, some financial distance from lenders abroad, the way NNPC will commit to repayment will be the true crude oil. So in actual fact, if you want to look at it, Nigerian crude oil production is not even enough. A lot of things are showing that crude production from Nigeria is not as, enthusiastic as it ought to be. So there is an issue of crude oil theft there too. So when we talk of the IOC, it has to be well defined so that we don't run into troubled waters. And that was why I said it's still an allegation. And the best person that can, shed more light to this is the person that made the allegation. So we should not, build a house on allegation. That is why I kept saying that the House of Representatives that is looking at
Adeola,
to get to the root of this matter.
We must thank you, Team Lead Platforms Africa, for your time on the program. Thank you very much.
My appreciation. Thank you.